Hi, I'm Brian Trageser from CIL, Asset Recovery and CIL Auctions, and I'm back. I just want to touch base with you a little bit more about my history. In my previous years, I was telling you in the other video how I started out as an auctioneer as a youngster at the age of 8, working in my dad's auction hall at Auction City, and how we went through all the years of doing the industrial sales, right across the country, right into my 20s. In my late 20s, at that point, I had already been with my dad's company over 15 years professionally. And to be honest with you, at that point, I wanted to move in my own direction. I had some anticipations about where I thought the business should go. And at the same token, me and my dad at that point, we were very good business people, but we fought. We bumped heads all the time as far as that goes. And I needed a piece of the company. We fought about stuff like that. And I had a guy wanted to buy my dad's auction company, to be honest with you. And he came to offer him some money and so on and so forth. And they couldn't come to terms. And lo and behold, he needed an industrial division. So at that point, I quit my dad's company. And I went to work for Cash Auctions of Milwaukee, and we started Cash Industrial Services, and we worked there for about 3 or 4 years with Cash. He had a plane. I left my dad's company. I never had worked for another auction company ever before, and within 4 weeks, I already had my first auction booked up in Michigan, and was no slowing us down, to be honest with you. I had a lot of learning from my dad's company. Don't forget, I actually did all the setup work with him. I did all the auctioneering with him. I did most of the removal work. I did 50 to 60% of my dad's work in that company. They did the advertising and handled the office and so on and so forth. But I was very much involved with the company. So when I broke away and went to Cash, it was just actually natural for me. I didn't think anything about it. I just jumped right into Cash Industrial Services and ran it just the same as I would have ran my dad's company. And our auctions were successful once again. We were doing hundreds of auctions across the country. Cash had a plane. We were flying all over the country. Now my scenario had changed though. I was aggressive. I was after auctions now. My dad just sat back and usually waited for the phone to ring, and now I'm chasing auctions. I'm chasing auctions all over the place. I'm out in Wisconsin, in Oregon, I'm out in West Virginia. New York, we're up in Maine, Vermont. Our first auction happened at the tip of Michigan, and it was successful with Cash. We ran with Cash for about 3 years. It was a great experience as far as that goes. We did millions of dollars worth of business, And at that point, Cash always said it was going to be, he had it thinking at some point I'm going to be breaking off and starting my own company, which basically happened. That's when I started Cambridge Industrial Liquidators, which is symbols for CIL auctions. Cambridge Industrial Liquidators was one of the most successful woodworking and sawmill auctions. I had started it out. At that point, I was about maybe the 5th leading auctioneer in the country for sawmills and woodworking auctions. I had really honed my craft, and at this point, I was going out and I was aggressive at getting auctions, and it was all different types of scenarios where we buy plants, or we do guaranteed sales, or we do sales for banks, and we do guarantees with minimums, bonus money. We had all kinds of deals going on at that point. When I broke away from Cash and started my own company with my wife, the business was successful. There's no question about it. We were traveling all over the country. Once again, we were doing hundreds of sales. At the same time, when I'm doing these sales, I'm doing woodworking sales. I'm doing guys who are manufacturing flooring, guys who are manufacturing windows, guys who are manufacturing kitchen cabinets. They have surplus merchandise. I'm running an auction a couple times a year at my facility. I had a 40,000 square foot place in Hamburg. We bring in inventory and we sell it off about 6 or 7 times a year. We wouldn't run every single month. We're bringing a lot of inventory from some of the guys I was dealing with, some of the manufacturers. And the business was hugely successful. As that grew, we developed more and more connections. We brought in more and more merchandise all over the country. And pretty soon, my auctions over here in Hamburg were the size of an industrial auction. They were turning into being large, huge sales. We're talking a couple hundred, small industrial sales was a couple $100,000 for our $100,000 to $200,000 was a small industrial sales. And a lot of our sales that were on site in Hamburg were generating that kind of money out anyways, all right. In the 1990s, around the 1990s, we had some problems with some of the industry closed up and it went overseas. The furniture industry basically closed up and it went overseas, and the sawmill industry struggled, okay? And we got into doing more and more of the closeout auctions, okay? They were hugely successful. There was tons of people out there, and we were getting in more and more merchandise, and it was almost to the point where we were running 2 and 3 of these type of sales every single month. All right. On top of that, we're renting stores. We're going out of business sales. Okay. We're doing quickie sales at different facilities. We're getting like a hardware store. We fill it up with merchandise. We run like a 4-week sale, and we'd have an auction. We're doing this all over our area. Okay. So this is kind of where my business started. Our business started to go in that direction, and pretty soon, wasn't very long, down the road, we had 4 facilities going. I had 2 in Pennsylvania and 1 in Ohio. We also had a huge warehouse. We used to bring in tons and tons of merchandise up in Pennsylvania. You know, we had 100,000. We had square foot facility up there, which just did nothing but hold merchandise. And then we had a facility that was down in Ohio that would also hold merchandise. And basically, we bring in truckloads, and we had a crew down there that would break them down and get them ready to go and ship them out to the other sales sites. This went on for a number of years and actually slipped me back out of the industrial business. The industrial business was getting to the point where it was getting a little bit harder to travel all over the country, chase down these sales. I was making more money in the closeout business as far as that goes, so this is the direction I was headed, okay? And pretty soon, like I said, we had 4 facilities going, 4 business parks going. We had our own little empire, people used to say, as we were going on there. And that took up most of our time. That kind of brings us back to the fruition of what happened up in here, and that's how I got back into most of the closeouts, all right? At another point in time, you know, I got to the point too where we closed down some of the other facilities, and now we only run and concentrate to 1 in Hamburg. It's a lot, to be honest with you. When you're running around the country, you're trying to run 4 facilities. I pretty much did all the work of running those facilities myself. My wife was taking care of all of the stuff in the books and everything else. But we're looking at 16-hour days. My general work rule of thumb was from 7 o'clock until noon, I worked in the office, and from noon until midnight, I worked at one of the places. And that went on for a number of years. And at some point, you get to the point you get a little tired, okay? Which brings us back to where we sit today. Now we're running the online auctions, okay? We're running the walkthrough sales. We got control over 140,000 square foot facility, which is very successful. I got no problems with it whatsoever. And if you come out to our sales, you'll see, you know, we still have beautiful merchandise coming in. We're still doing about 15 truckloads of stuff a month, okay? Even back then, I was only doing about 20 truckloads with 4 facilities. The problem is I would just keep rotating it really quick. Here, sometimes we got inventory sitting on hand, okay? We'd love to see you. Come on out to the auctions, come out to the walkthrough sales, get on the online sales, all right? This business has been great to me. Been great to me, been great to my family, okay, as far as it goes. I made a ton of money in it. I got no regrets as far as it goes, and it's a lot of fun. I want to thank you for taking time and watching this video, and I appreciate it. And I actually have been an auctioneer, believe it or not, for over 40 years of my life. Pretty much started when I was a kid, and I'm still auctioning now. I'll see you at one of the sales. I'm Brian Trageser from CIL Asset Recovery and CIL Auctions, and thanks.